Hello and welcome to the Week 9 recap, where we have a slate full of games to catch up on. Our first one is Alabama at Tennessee in Knoxville. One of the bigger storylines is that Jason Clellan and Chris Braswell at linebacker are going to be out for this game, leaving Alabama without two of their bigger weapons. And that will be especially impactful in a game that's going to have a lot of implications for the SEC standings, with both of these teams with two conference losses. We'll pick it up near the end of the first quarter, 3rd and 5. Alabama looking for 6 to take the lead on Tennessee, throw to the back of the end zone, bat it away, and Tennessee would be able to hold Alabama to a field goal from this point. Next up, we have middle of the third quarter, Alabama in a 3rd and 7, down by 7 to Tennessee, trying to tie this game up, as it's been quite the battle so far at this point. Snap to Milroe, he's looking, finds his man, but comes up short on 4th and 2, and Alabama would have to kick a field goal. But Alabama, they would hold strong, get the ball back, down 4, now in a 3rd and goal. Prime opportunity, they take it. Ja'Cory Brooks for a touchdown. He gives Alabama a 3-point lead. But pretty quickly, Tennessee would drive back down, under 7 minutes to go. Joe Milton on a read option, and you're not stopping ahead of steam like that. Joe Milton takes 5 yards and a score, 31-27 Tennessee at this point. Alabama kind of on one of their last lives. 4-point game, 4th and 2, not going to kick a field goal, don't know how many more opportunities you're going to have. Milroe tries to escape, but he is brought down, and Tennessee would take a big step towards a victory, but they would drive the ball back down the field, and just for good measure, Jabari Small, able to get in the end zone, gives Tennessee a 2-score lead, and that 2-score lead would ultimately be too much for Alabama to overcome, as Joe Milton gets a signature victory in Knoxville, and Tennessee takes a big step towards winning their SEC division and puts Alabama in a spot that they are probably going to lose their aspirations of coming back in the division. Now, TCU at Texas. They face a similar kind of situation to Alabama and Tennessee. This game is going to have a lot of bearing on the division. Coming into the game, both of these teams are undefeated in conference play, and between them there is only one combined loss. That was TCU early in the season to LSU in Dallas. Now, with these two teams meeting and the rest of the division definitely fallen off the map, TCU and Texas are basically playing for the division title at this point, how the season has gone. And at this point, we're in the middle of the 3rd quarter. TCU is up by 10. Quinn Ewers and company trying to mount a comeback against TCU, 3rd and 4. The Texas offense had been stifled up to this point, and they were looking for a big play to try and ignite their offense. Quinn Ewers and company looking here, and it's knocked away. And TCU would continue their defensive assault, keeping Texas off balance. That would lead to a field goal, but TCU would keep the pressure on, up 20-10, 3rd and 4. Chandler Morris looking for a big play. And in the back of the end zone, you leave Jack Beck open, 10 yards in the score, and that would be a 27-10 lead. But Texas would have something to say about that. Under 8 minutes to go, 3rd and inches, really needing to find a way in the end zone, and Keelan Robinson is stopped on an option play. Brings up 4th and 3, down 3 scores. They really need this one. And Ewers forces one in the end zone, picked off. That gives the ball back to TCU. But that would not end the game. Texas would keep working their way back. 2.5 minutes to go. Trying to get in the end zone again on 3rd and goal, down by 10. They can't do it. 4th and goal. This is definitely a do or die. If Texas can't get in the end zone, this game is over. Ewers hits a corner shot. Casey Kane, 3 yards and a score, cuts the lead to 3. And now if TCU cannot convert on this 3rd down, it's going to be trouble time and probably a punt and get Texas the ball back. Minute 47 left. Can their defense make a play? They get to Chandler Morris, force a bad throw, but TCU says not so fast. We're going for it on 4th and 3. This is kind of that no man's land, no point in punting. TCU gets the conversion, game over. Texas gets the stop, they'll have a chance. And Morris, nice easy throw to the sideline. Savion Williams makes an excellent catch, 10th of the day for him, and that would ultimately seal the deal for TCU. And our former national runner-ups continue their string of Big 12 dominance, so their only one loss came out of conference. And now they are perfect in conference play, they hold the tiebreaker over Texas, and are purely in the driver's seat for their division in the Big 12. Next up on our docket, we have number 5 Utah visiting number 11 USC. And as you can imagine with a Pac-12 matchup, there are some division implications for this game. Maybe not quite as definitive as the Texas and TCU game, but in this one, USC already has 2 conference losses. but they kind of want to establish themselves as the team in case Washington falters a couple of times at this point. And then you have Utah, who has a 1-game lead on Boise State, but they've already beaten Boise State. So even with a loss today, Utah is sitting in a pretty nice spot. But a win today probably locks up their spot in the big Pac-12 championship game at this point. But a loss definitely makes things a little more interesting at this point. So first play that we're going to go to is 3rd and goal, end of the first half for Utah, trying to get in the end zone and tie this game up. And Jaquindon Jackson could not convert in the red zone, and that would lead to a Utah field goal and let USC keep their lead going into halftime. 3rd quarter, 3rd and goal for Caleb Williams and company. Holding on to that 4-point lead, Caleb Williams going to do it himself, get in the end zone, and give USC that 2-score lead, and definitely threatening that Utah perfect season at this point with 3.5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. 4th down, 5 minutes to go. 3rd and goal, down by 8, and Utah cannot get in with Jaquindon Jackson, and they're going to call for going for it on 4th and goal, seeing if they can make that play here. Let's see if they can tie it up. And Jalen Glover cannot find an open lane, and the USC defense shows up here and stops Utah with under 5 minutes to go. Utah would get their touchdown to cut into the lead, but USC would have a chance here to really make things difficult. All they need to do is get a touchdown, and Caleb Williams does just that, finding his man over the middle, improving his Heisman case even further. As a one-time champion already, you know it's hard to repeat, and he is staking his claim as he has continued to lay out his case for being a 2-time Heisman winner. And with games like that, Caleb Williams is going to continue that ride pretty unopposed, and we'll have to see if anybody else can rise up. But USC gets out of that one with a big conference victory. And then the last game in this slate, Kansas State in Nebraska, number 4 versus number 16. Nebraska has been one of our surprise teams of this dynasty so far. And Kansas State is a team that's reached number 4 in the country by being undefeated in conference, and now have to face Nebraska, who's number 2 in the division, with the division lead on the line in today's game. Nebraska, though, would be just as explosive as ever, as you are seeing Jeff Sims' 5th touchdown pass of the first half, where Nebraska took a commanding 38-24 lead going into the half. Then 3rd quarter, first drive where they have the ball, they say, let's add the 6th passing touchdown of the day for Jeff Sims. And they are pouring it on early, up 45-24. Middle of the 3rd quarter, Jeff Sims says, how about another one? 7th passing touchdown at this point, and he would add one more for good measure. But Kansas State would have a little bit to say about this. 4th and goal, down by 3 scores, 2.5 minutes to go. You have to have it here, obviously. And they are able to get the touchdown and put themselves in a spot where they still have a pulse. After an unsuccessful onside kick, Nebraska would need one more conversion to end this game, and that's exactly what Jeff Sims does. And Nebraska wins this one behind the performance of Jeff Sims. 8 passing touchdowns, 454 yards through the air, and Nebraska has established themselves not just as a Big 12 contender, but as a national contender. And then when you look at the team stats, it's a funny game because it looks like Kansas State should have won this one, but they end up losing by 2 scores because of turnovers. When you lose that battle 3-0, it's a hard pill to swallow. And now, we have a second slate of games. And this starts with UCF at Miami, a team that Florida State plays next week, so a good opportunity to check in with them. And then as far as conference standings are concerned, Miami, not really in the picture. But let's not forget that UCF is the top team in the SEC East at this point, so plenty on the line for them trying to get another SEC victory. Miami down 24-10, 3rd quarter, looking for a conversion to cut this lead in half, and that's exactly what Tyler Van Dyke does down in the red zone. And Miami now gets an opportunity before the 4th quarter, 3rd and goal, down by 7, seeing if they can make one last push into the lead. And this throw into the flats will get Miami a touchdown and cuts deeply into that lead, and now it is a tie game, 24-24. Can UCF make a play now behind John Reese Plumlee early in the 4th quarter? It's an unopposed run up the middle, and UCF continues their winning ways from this point and wins another SEC game and will continue to be atop the SEC East, this time behind John Reese Plumlee, who they asked to throw the ball 51 times, which is definitely not his usual state of affairs, but they get the victory either way, and UCF continues their winning ways, and Miami continues not winning. Second game of this slate, Michigan State, Notre Dame. Number 19 in the country, Michigan State versus number 9, Notre Dame. Both teams were undefeated last week, but but took very difficult losses and now face a bigger uphill battle in the Big Ten. When looking at the standings for this one, they are in the same Big Ten West division. Both teams are at the top of it right now, but you have teams like Penn State, Michigan, and Purdue lurking. So this would help one team take a big significant edge going into this final stretch of the season after this game. First play we'll go to is in the third quarter. That's a 3rd and goal for Michigan State. They're down by 6. Touchdown here would help them take the lead back. Michigan State punch it in. They cannot. The Notre Dame red zone defense showing up and keeping Jalen Berger out of the end zone and forcing a Michigan State field goal. We pick back up. Similar spot. Michigan State in the red zone. 4th and 5, down by 6, under 5 minutes to go. What can they do? Here it is, big throw to the end zone, and Notre Dame knocks it away as their defense kept Noah Kim off balance the entire time, but the Notre Dame offense was not able to really put them away. This time, Notre Dame down by 1, it's a 4th and 4, Michigan State finally gets the lead back, but Sam Hartman makes a nice throw here to Matt Salerno, and I will talk about Matt Salerno after the game and the type of stat line he put up afterwards. Notre Dame in a 3rd and 2, down by 1, a first down here though puts them in prime field goal range and they could probably run the rest of the clock out, but they get stopped and have to take a timeout due to an injury. So they will go and kick a field goal to go up 26-24, giving Michigan State a chance though. 12 seconds left, Michigan State down 2. Fringe field goal range, a field goal or a first down makes them feel a little bit better, and a beautiful throw to Christian Fitzpatrick for 20 yards makes them feel even better about their prospects. Lines up a field goal with 7 seconds left. All they need is to put this through, and they will put themselves in a prime position to pull off this game. And they put it through the uprights, 27-26 for Michigan State. And that will be the final margin as they beat Notre Dame in this one. And now Notre Dame, the team that suffers 2 straight losses, and Michigan State rights the ship a little bit. I thought Michigan State was a little fraudulent with their start to the season, but this is a big victory for them, and they will get to continue climbing up the polls. And 2 straight losses definitely does not help Notre Dame's causes as a national or conference contender at this point, but I want to say bigger story is Michigan State, and I think they're a team we have to take seriously, and they're going to continue to have their voice heard at the table for the rest of the season. And before we move to the next game, let's talk about Matt Salerno and his 17 catches for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is from a 78 overall receiver. I don't know what to do with this, but I guess if that was working for the Notre Dame offense, then so be it. All right, 3rd game on the slate. We are going to the Rose Bowl, where Oregon is going to California to play UCLA in a game of 2 teams trying to remain relevant in the Pac-12 at this point. When we look at the standings for them, they are both in the same Pac-12 North division, and UCLA only has 1 conference loss, so getting a win will keep them in that 2 spot. But if they drop down, they get to join the mess of USC and Oregon State and other 2-loss teams in the division. So we're going to pick up with 2nd and goal, 3rd quarter for Oregon. They've only put up 7 points at this point. They're going to need to get it moving. Run up the middle from the pistol as they like to do. They get in the end zone and they tie this game up at 14 middle of the 3rd quarter. Dante Moore and company now find themselves down by 7 with 6.5 minutes to go, and he finds Logan Loya inside the 5-yard line on a beauty of a throw as the young freshman continues to mature in front of our eyes. And then the very next play, looking to punch it in, down by 7, run up the middle, doing what they do best. Carson Steele finds the end zone, and now this game is tied up with 6 minutes and 21 seconds to go as both teams continue to have some opportunities. Oregon now, 4 minutes to go, a 3rd and 6. A conversion here would really help out their cause. They're able to shake off a defender, and they are now in prime field goal range, but they continue to drive. About 3 minutes to go, 2nd and goal, handoff, works his way off tackle a little bit, and that's Terrence Ferguson, and that will give Oregon a 28-21 lead. Now it's UCLA's turn. They drive down the field quickly. Under 1:20 to go, 3rd and 5. Dante Moore finds his man in the middle of the field, and Cam Brown gives them a 1st down at this point. But they continue to move, trying to not give Oregon too much time if they score, but still needing to prioritize a score to tie this one up. And that's exactly what they're able to do with a 13-yard strike to Colson Yankoff. And now UCLA ties this one up at 28 with about a minute to go. Oregon, not a lot of chances left. It's a third down from about the 46-yard line, not in field goal range. They will need a first down if they want to get in field goal range, but instead, let's throw it deep, shake off a defender, Chris Hudson into the end zone on a massive throw from Bo Nix. That puts them up 35-28. Bo Nix puts up a very Bo Nix stat line on that drive, but it gets the job done. And now UCLA only has one more play to see if they can make up the lost yardage here. 75 yards to go. Dante Moore on the run throws a ball that barely gets over the 50-yard line. A diving catch is made, but it will do no good. And Oregon goes into the Rose Bowl and they get a win, and they will go and assert themselves a little bit higher in the Pac-12 hierarchy as that division continues to be led by Washington, but with some other teams still lurking. Now, the final game we'll get some footage of today is North Carolina at LSU at Death Valley. This one continues our theme of games that have huge conference implications. When we take a look at the standings, we'll see that North Carolina and LSU are firmly in a battle for the SEC West supremacy. They join that Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Alabama fray of teams with 2 losses. We know Alabama's already lost this week, but another team like LSU or North Carolina is about to join that fray as well and probably lose their chance at an SEC West title. This is a 3-3 ball game at this point, middle of the second quarter, about 6 minutes to go. First and goal for Drake May and company. You know what he likes to do. Read option, barrels his way into the end zone, does it himself, and continues to impress with his stat line and give North Carolina a 10-3 lead going into this point. Next up, North Carolina, up 10-3. End of the first half. It's a 3rd and 11. They could go up by 2 scores before halftime, would be huge in Death Valley, but his throw to the end zone is not pretty. It gets picked off by the LSU defender who undercuts him, and now UNC is up 13-3 the next time we check in. This is LSU's first time with the ball in the second half, and that is going to be a fumble. UNC recovers, and it's going to put UNC in a prime spot again. This time they could go by 3 scores if they get a touchdown at this point, really putting LSU in a bind if they can make a play. Drake May has 2 halfbacks behind him there in the formation, fakes the handoff. He's going to fire it out to the flats, and another route undercut on 2nd and 10. And LSU's defense trying to get them the ball back, trying to put them in positions so that they can get back in this game, the 13-3 affair at this point. You know, holding UNC to 13 in this high-powered offense is quite an accomplishment. Drake May, would it happen again? Oh, it would. Another drive in the 3rd quarter with a chance to go and extend the lead, and he throws a dangerous ball and gives the ball back to LSU. Can LSU finally capitalize? This time on 2nd and 11, near the end of the 3rd quarter, Daniels finds his spot, finds his man, and this throw is able to hit Chris Hilton, get 32 yards, and they are inside the 10-yard line. They have to convert here. It's 3rd and goal, down 13-3. Mason Taylor, the tight end, cannot rush it in, and that would lead to an LSU field goal to at least cut the lead to a 1-score game. Only 7 points. Does UNC have a response? Can Drake May shake off the shaky start? So Drake May decides to throw this dot of a ball to the sidelines and hits a diving Tez Walker for 51 yards. And that put UNC in prime position to get back to a 2-score lead. As the LSU defense finally was going to give up some big plays, they had been making plays of their own, but just could not stop Drake May and company any longer. This time on 2nd and 4, a little over 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, he'll hand this one off on this play. British Brooks finds the end zone, and that gives UNC a 20-6 lead. LSU's last gasps are happening here. 4 minutes to go, down 2 scores. You have to have a touchdown if you want to stay relevant in this game. A 2nd and 10 where he is able to find his man, and Malik Neighbors finds the end zone. But UNC would run out the rest of this clock. Desmond Evans would win player of the game with a fantastic performance on the defensive end. And North Carolina wins this game with their defense, not their high-powered offense. So after that rapid-fire slate of games, let's check in on the rest of the action around the country. In the SEC, Mississippi State loses to Kentucky in a former SEC matchup 41-30. Then Florida beats FCS Southeast 45-0. Get some nice momentum for them and feeling a little bit better. Ole Miss beats Arkansas 38-34. This is Arkansas's first game out of conference, so they will be 0-1 in the non-con now after this game. Then we see Clemson beats FCS Southeast 35-12. Georgia beats North Texas 42-21, continuing their winning ways. Georgia Tech beats FCS Southeast, who seem to be a punching bag this week, 38-7. We saw Tennessee beat Alabama from some earlier action. Also saw North Carolina beat LSU 23-20 in their game. NC State beats Auburn 14-10, which seems like a game I'm glad we did not watch. That probably would have been very painful. And then UCF beating Miami, we saw that one 41-31. Then the Big Ten, Michigan beats Indiana 41-17. Iowa beats Northwestern 24-3 in their game. Again, another game I'm glad we didn't have to watch. Michigan State's win over Notre Dame. Illinois beats Louisville 26-21, and they get their first Big Ten victory of the season in that game. And Louisville continues a very middling kind of season. Wisconsin wins 55-7 over Cincinnati. Penn State beats Pittsburgh in a rivalry matchup 49-21. They continue their nice start to the season with only one loss. And then Western Kentucky beats Purdue 37-20. I guess Western Kentucky is a team we can pay attention to in that other group of non-power teams. Then in the Big 12, Oklahoma State gets a nice win 24-17, their first Big 12 win of the season. We already saw Arkansas's loss. Tulane beats Kansas 24-21. And Tulane scrapping around at 4-3 and 2-2 in conference, definitely acquitting themselves well. We saw Nebraska's big victory. Baylor beats SMU 31-17, and Baylor's a frisky 5-2, and I don't think they're out of things at this point. Oklahoma beats Texas Tech in a very nice game, 27-14, continuing to keep themselves afloat. Texas A&M beats Houston 28-14. Houston 1-4 in conference, not looking great. And then we saw TCU's win over Texas. Washington stays undefeated by beating Colorado State. Then Ball State beats Arizona State. I guess we can say Arizona State is in dumpster fire territory. Western Michigan beats Washington State 42-21. Washington State in the same boat. UNLV beats Nevada, and UNLV is now one win away from bowl eligibility. Colorado beats Arizona 31-21. San Diego State beats Fresno State 31-24. San Diego State is 6-2. BYU wins 21-20. BYU, 6 wins already. USC beats Utah 38-29. Oregon State gets a nice win over Hawaii. And then finishing up with Oregon beating UCLA. And now, what's next week? Rivalry matchup against Miami. Miami, not relevant in the conference race or national race, but we still have some big prizes that we're playing for, so it's definitely going to be a pretty tough battle in a rivalry matchup. You can never underestimate them. Miami still has a lot of talent, and I figure that it's still going to be a tough game for us, so you'll definitely want to tune in for this rivalry matchup and our first time playing each other as SEC opponents. And as always, go Noles.